All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gathering of the Tao month. What's it? Maestro's log, jungle date. I think we're in month 11 of Elyseos. Supplies are running low. Cannibals avoided in the jungle. One of those those scratchy pieces of paper, like torn and like half burned with ayahuasca vine stains and thorns through it. Feels like one of those jungle diaries at this point. Would be appropriate. But anyway, welcome to everybody on the call. Welcome to those of you watching the recording. We're going to start with a short prayer, as we do in Elyseos. So yeah, giving deep thanks and gratitude to the guidance of the plants, the plant medicines, the sacraments that we work with, and the planet itself. We give thanks for the guidance and the deep lessons we've had. Also for Elyseos and the amazing lessons we've had in the cryptocurrency space and working in this space. We give thanks for all of that. And may we be guided in doing this work and in bringing this through. And we are still standing in the depths of a cold, bare crypto winter. Hallelujah. So yes, been a few months of kind of deep introspection and sort of back to the drawing board-ish and recovering and then kind of figuring out where we're going from here, where to from here. And so I think that's where we're going to start, is with what's coming. And then we'll spend a bit of time talking about what's happened and what we did and how things are going. So I'm going to go to screen share. Oh, and by the way, we're no longer pseudonymous. So hi, I'm Maestro Big Nose.
I'm Mary Monster.
I'll let the others introduce.
I'm still anonymous.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go to screen share. Okay, make sure I share the right one. Okay, let's see. Can we go full screen? All right. So you can see we decided to steal the June font because it's just so cool. So no, but that's because
I put them at the bottom.
I can move them. No, I can't. No, not when I'm in full screen like this. Okay. All right. So this is our new thing, our new thing called tokenized offtake agreements, and this is basically what they are, the anatomy of them, the stakeholders, and how it works. So it's a technology, and it's also a kind of paint by numbers for putting together projects to grow and produce plants, fungi.
To fund the projects.
To fund projects, yeah. So a brief overview. TOAs are an NFT, and then attached to this NFT is an offtake that gives you a certain amount of product. So an example would be 10 kilograms of cacao for 5 years. And you, as the holder of the NFT, are entitled to delivery of that good. And we'll show you later how we make sure that the people get their goods that they say they're going to get.
By offtake, do you mean payout?
By offtake, I mean like something that the farm produces, an offtake of the production. So the farm produces it, or the lab produces it, or somebody puts it in tea bags and produces this product in a container.
Whatever money has been raised to produce.
No, you guaranteed the offtake. You can get somebody to sell the offtake for you, and I'll talk about that. So you don't actually have to take, say, the 10 kgs of cacao, but it doesn't guarantee you that they will be sold. It guarantees you the 10 kgs of cacao. So your NFT well, when I say guarantees, it gives you the rights to that from the farm. And we'll show how we're protecting people from being rug pulled by farmers. We're not going to invite Andre Cronier to do any farms. Just saying. So basically what the TOAs do, actually that wasn't unfair. Andre didn't really rug pull, did he? The TOA is a new financial instrument, and it offers some features not available in the market. It funds the growing of niche ethnobotanical or fungi sacraments. Traditional funding sources you can't often go to the bank and say, hey, will you fund my mushroom growing operation or my cannabis growing operation? And we're only proposing to do it in areas where it's legal, but it's still difficult to get funding from traditional sources around these products. It allows the users of the sacraments, the traders, the people who create products, the healers, or the medical facilities to lock in a guaranteed supply so they can get their supply from this NFT. And it allows people affordable exposure to growing operations. You can buy a certain number of NFTs and take as much risk as you like. And so it's a way of actually funding these projects and getting a return from these projects. It spreads the risk of these projects evenly among a large amount of investors. And then that NFT, of course, is tradable, just like any other NFT, like a picture of a monkey. You can sell it, you can pass it on to other people. So it's an asset-backed tradable instrument. But the key word here, I think, is asset-backed. I don't know of any other NFT. I mean, there probably are NFT projects which maybe are backed by gold or something like that, but this is backed by assets. And then those can be sold or used as some form of collateral. So this is kind of what one looks like. And this is a proposed project, which will be the pilot project for the TOAs. And this is busy coming in. So you can see we've got your kind of NFT artwork. Looks a bit like a trading card in this case. And then it says what the product is, Mesembryanthum tortuosum, which is Sceletium tortuosum, different name for it. You get 10 kilograms. It's got some alkaloid specs. And the first offtake will be on the 1st of May, 2024. So that's when you'll get your first 10 kilograms. And then the 10 up in the top left, that'll go down every year and you'll get 10 offtakes. So for 10 years, you'll get these 10 kgs of Sceletium as the holder of this NFT. Of course, you can sell the NFT and somebody else can then get that offtake that's coming. So it has a number of characteristics attached to the NFT, which is known as a TOA, tokenized offtake agreement. Every project which we launch has a number of stakeholders, and I'll just go through these briefly. The beneficiary are the TOA holders who get their kilograms of the goods. The producer is the one who creates it. In this case, it's a farmer. It could also be a laboratory. It could be a product creator. We'll see what producers are going to appear and use the platform in the future. The guardian is the person who's in the same country as the producer and has a legal relationship with the producer to kind of make sure the producer doesn't rug pull and like disappear with the money that they've raised. Everybody needs to be known. So there's no provision here for anonymity. And the guardian has a large amount of the TOAs. And also what happens is if there's a shortfall of some kind or something goes wrong, the guardian's produce is attached first from the beneficiary. So the guardian kind of has this responsibility. They're guarding the beneficiaries in a way. So they're one of the cornerstone backers. They buy a lot of these TOAs, and they also are the first one. If there's something goes wrong, they're the first port of call. And so they've got their TOAs are staked on chain. So they're also the link between on chain and off chain, because they'll also have lawyers and they'll have a presence in the country where the project is. The sales agent is somebody who can sell your produce on your behalf. So if you don't want your 10 kgs of Sceletium, the sales agent for a 10-15% fee, they'll determine the fee, can sell it for you and then send you stablecoin back to your wallet. So you, in fact, never need to touch the product. You can simply hold the NFT and then get your return every year based on what the sales agent can sell it for. And there's some checks and balances around the sales agent. The Rainmaker is somebody who helps put the deal together, finds all the people, finds the beneficiaries, helps them set up their wallets, connects the dots between all the different players, and they get some TOAs for being part of it. And all these people will be able to be seen, and you'll see their wallets and you can see what they do. This beautiful visibility that we have with the blockchain. There's an auditor and a lawyer, accredited auditor, accredited lawyer. This project is in South Africa, so they will be, they'll hold their certification as an auditor and a lawyer, and they will audit the project and do the legal agreements. And their audits and their legal agreements will be available on the website. So you'll be able to see what's been done. And then there's a certain amount of money set aside for them in escrow, which they get paid from. And then really important for us in Elyseos and our ethos and what we do is there's a fund for local peoples. In this case, Sceletium is sacred to the Khoisan people, the Khoi people, the Namakwa people, the First Nations people of South Africa. And they're going to receive 5% of this project, 5% of the TOAs, and then there's also a bonus pool, which can also be allocated between them and the producer, depending on how the people vote. And we've already identified some projects in the local area where it's going to be growing. But that's for everybody who launches a project, needs to identify some sort of give back and include that. Are there any questions at this point? Okay. This just, kind of draws the flows between who's who and what happens where. I've sort of explained it kind of already, but you can see, what the Rainmaker receives, and then they find the beneficiaries, and the auditor audits the sales agent and the producer, and so on. Yeah. So this is some of the technology that's been built. If some of our tech team are here, but if they feel to chip in, they're welcome. The triangles, the diamonds are smart contracts. The circles are web pages, and the squares are databases.
Are there squares hiding behind these people?
There's just the one, the delivery database. We've only got one database, which is for deliveries. The smart contracts, the NFT collection, the crowd sale, which will launch it. When I show you the screens, you can see it. But there's been quite a few contracts written, connecting up, just to make sure that all of the pieces are functioning. And then a number of pages also. And there's this kind of, you'll see something there called the remedy payout. So that's if you're expecting 10 kilograms of a substance and you get 8 kilograms, what do you do? I'll show you when we get to some of the screens. So here's the first screen. A lot of this is implemented. We're moving into testing now. So we're going to be testing for the next few weeks. And then there's also some stuff, the pilot project, they're also working out some kinks on their side. Hopefully we're going to launch on the 22nd of August, which will be Elyseos's first birthday. So this project will go live, and then probably about a month of probably maybe 30 days or 22 days sales period to allow people to buy the TOAs. So this is just the homepage. There's only one project upcoming at the moment. And it shows how many projects have been created. There's a few numbers in there because, as I said, we're currently in testing. So that's the homepage. And then these are like the first two pages. Once you click into the project, You can see on the left there, it's got all the background and all the details about the project. There'll be a little video, kind of similar to a Kickstarter project, where you can dive deep into the project. You can see who the stakeholders are. You can see where the money's going. You'll be able to see the financials. There'll be a spreadsheet online for everything. So this is where you can do your due diligence. So, if you're thinking, if you're a potential buyer for one of these TOAs, they can dive into it, do all your due diligence, check it out, watch the little video, and then decide if you want to buy. And then that little modal down in the middle there, that will pop up if you click on buy now, and then you can choose how many you want to buy. And only if we hit our minimum, I think on this project, it won't be $60,000. It'll probably be about $350,000, the minimum. And then once that number's hit, then the sale ends and the money goes to the producer and to other parties along the way, everybody who needs it. And then the tokens get distributed to the TOA holders. This other one here is the metrics page, which shows metrics around the TOA. And then the final page, which I haven't shown here, is the smart contracts. And that'll be for people to drill into the smart contracts. So you can see, for example, that the Guardian has put in there $100,000 odd, and that it's locked up and that they won't be able to come out. So you'll be able to see those sorts of things directly on Phantom Scan on the project. There'll be a dashboard. So, once there's more than one project, if you are interested in this financial instrument in the TOAs, you'll be able to see all your TOAs here. And eventually what we will do is we will have the price of your TOAs. So you'll see what did the TOA last trade at. So you can get an idea of the value of your holdings. If you're holding TOAs from 5 or 6 different projects, eventually it'll show you here your total value based on the last sales price of the TOA. But that's going to come a bit later on. At the moment, this isn't a fully self-service platform. It's still, we are putting it up. We're probably going to do that for the first few until we work out all the little hiccups and kinks, and then we'll make this fully self-service and completely permissionless, where anybody will be able to come and fund a project using the platform. There's a governance section. So this is what comes up, when you don't receive your offtake, or the offtake, the alkaloids are a bit low or something. It doesn't meet the spec as written in the TOA. Then the producer, first of all, proposes some sort of remedy. If the producer's remedy isn't acceptable, then a remedy needs to be proposed by the Guardian, and then the holders, one token, one vote, one TOA, one vote, will be able to vote on the proposals and do some sort of governance of the project. Should the bonus pool go to some of the local people? Should we spend it on this? Should we do that? We've got an excess. We produce more than we thought we would. How should it be distributed? Should it go to the producer? Should it be distributed among the holders? So that all can be voted for. And then the final thing is the delivery. So as a holder of it, so say I've just bought one. I didn't buy it at the launch. I bought it on an NFT marketplace, 6 months down the line. And now I have to go and set the delivery. And you can come and with your TOA, you can set the delivery address for that particular TOA. So say it's TOA number 81. You can define who gets it. And so then when the product is produced, this would be locked. So at some point, I think it's the 1st of May is the delivery date. So a month before then, the snapshot will be taken and it'll be delivered to those people. So if it gets sold after that, it's kind of like when shares are sold ex-dividend. So you get the share, but the dividend's already been paid out. So in this case, it would be X offtake. So there'll be that 1 month period when you can still buy and sell TOAs, but you won't get the upcoming offtake. You'll only get the one for the next year. but the TOA will reflect that in the number of offtakes left as soon as that time flips over. So this is a way you can come and set your change your delivery address once you've bought it. And so now a little bit about the pilot project. It's working with a...
Has anyone got questions before Sai dives into this part?
All good from my side.
Okay. Okay, cool. Great. So the pilot project is a Sceletium project. This is exactly what the leaves look like. It's a small succulent that grows in South Africa, a really amazing plant. Being used to treat depression, to treat anxiety. It's a real feel-good plant. Helps.
It's totally legal as well.
Yeah, it's completely legal everywhere in the world. Can also be used recreationally. Difficult to describe what it's like recreationally, but kind of like, I guess, a cross between cannabis and MDMA. I think I would call it something like that. It's a very interesting plant to use and work with. It's growing massively in popularity. A lot of producers cannot get enough supply. So there are a lot of Sceletium farms being initiated. But the rootstock and genetic material is not so easy to get hold of. So they're not managing to keep up with demand, but more supply is coming online all the time. Mood enhancement. It's a natural mood enhancer, a natural antidepressant, anti-anxiety. It's a very, very effective cognitive enhancer. So can be used where people might normally use some sort of Ritalin or some sort of concentration amphetamine. Yeah, Concerto, or some of the concentration amphetamines in low doses. This can be a replacement for that. It's also very gentle on the system. The entourage effect of a plant, it seems to not deplete the natural neurotransmitters as much as some non-plant
it doesn't
materials.
leave a deposit in the brain at all, so it's not addictive. So many people that I met when I was working in a health shop in the past, they came off Prozac, which is addictive because it leaves a deposit on the brain, and onto Sceletium, and it wasn't wobbly. That was their replacement for Prozac.
Right. Yeah. So it's really, really works very closely with the serotonin system. Can be used for sleep, intimacy enhancement, really opens the heart and helps with communication. Is neuroprotective, so can protect the brain from inflammation and some other kinds of damage. We're really at the early stages of research. So a lot of research on neurodegenerative conditions and things like that has not yet been done. There is more and more research being done now. The community who we spoke to, the community fund, and I was out 2 weeks ago. I was out at the site where they're going to put the farm in, and I met with some of the local people. And the story that the man told was about the traditional San hunter-gatherers. And I said, what do you know? What stories do you know about Kohut, Kana? And he said, yeah, the story was like when you were hunting, because a lot of their hunting, they would run the animal down. So they would just chase the animal for like a day until the animal would drop from exhaustion. And that was one of their means of hunting. And he said, they'd be running along on the hunt, and if they spotted some kana, they would pick it and just chew it. And it would give them a lot of endurance. It would help with dehydration, but also just give a lot of energy. Stamina. Yeah, so that was the story he told about the use of it. So this is the details of this particular project, which is known as KQ Kana. It's going to be a 3-hectare project. The capital is $250,000, and they'll produce 5 tons per annum. and that'll be divided into 500 TOAs, which will each give a 10 kilogram offtake. And then there's some of this is still being finalized in the actual TOA. These are proposed numbers, so some of this might adjust. We still got roughly just under a month until launch, so some of the numbers might change. And then it'll have some specified minimum alkaloid contents as part of it. And these are some of the stakeholders in this project who will be working with it. So that's the TOAs, and essentially we still have an anonymous member. He threatened to the other day. He was saying, well, if the crowd sale fails, we'll have the refund button, but we'll have it just move slightly whenever you go to claim your refund. Nothing like having your lead dev with a good sense of humor. So that's the TOA project. That's really what we've been busy with the last few months, what we're really excited about, what feels like is going to have Elyseos getting some traction and getting moving again with this project. And really what we found in speaking to people about it, what they love about it is it's really connected with the real world. It's not just ethereal. It's connected with actual plants that are in the ground. And so it's building that bridge between crypto and this world, which has always been part of the mission of Elyseos. I don't know if there are any questions about that, or if anybody else has anything to say about that, to share about that. The final thing I want to say about that is just really so grateful to the ELYS development team who put this together on a real shoestring. We got hit by our treasury got hit by the crash. So Elyseos is we're looking to recapitalize and get going, and on really low budget. The team has built a really amazing platform, and I think it looks awesome, and I'm just super proud of everybody who's involved in this project. And proud to be associated with everything that's happening here. So what's next on the agenda? Do you want to take over?
No.
Does anyone want to take over? No. Okay. All right. I'll keep going.
I'm curious about the I know it's early stages for the Sceletium project, but what is the next projects that we're thinking of doing?
So there are two projects which we're in early phase talks with. One is an ibogaine lab, so taking in iboga root bark and producing GMP lab verified, stamped and approved.
What does GMP mean?
It means good manufacturing practices. It's a stamp for labs. So when a lab is GMP certified, it means that they've gone through, in South Africa, it's something called SAPRA, which is the health products. It's the equivalent of the FDA in the US. They kind of check out labs and make sure they're doing everything right. And GMP ibogaine is you actually can't find it in the world because the country needs to have iboga scheduled, and then the lab has to be able to do it according to that schedule, which is the case in South Africa. So it's a South African project next, which is an iboga lab. So that's less about growing and more about extracting. But it still needs machinery and things like that.
Iboga is a medicine for ibogaine, specifically for clearing addictions.
Yeah, that's primarily what it's used for. There are a number of ibogaine clinics around the world who use ibogaine for treating mostly opiate addiction, but also other forms of addiction. Really phenomenal with opiate addiction, much higher success rate than methadone or Suboxone or some of the opiate replacements, also higher than abstinence, probably about a 35% success rate on Ibogaine, which is super high if people know anything about opiate addiction. And then there's a psilocybin growing project, fully legal psilocybin project in Lesotho, which is a country bordering South Africa. All its borders are South Africa. It's kind of like in the middle of South Africa. And they have the rights to grow psilocybin mushrooms legally.
Kingdom of the Sky.
Yeah, and so they're looking at producing mushrooms for research, and there's some international places where it's available. So it's very early stages. They're watching with interest what happens. That might be a very big project. So they're watching with interest what happens on the Sceletium project. And then they might look at coming in. And we're also really open. So if you're out there listening and you've got a really cool project, drop us a line and we can start to, we're also keen to obviously find some projects outside of South Africa who are wanting to get up and running. So yeah, we're here to help these projects get off the ground and get going. So yeah, feel free to reach out. You can get us on our Telegram. Great question. Thanks.
That's it.
Yeah, if no one else has a question, I also want to know about like how the sales agents will work. Are they going to be like, is there set people going to be like set for the sales, or how's that going to work? Is it just going to be a network that's like kind of loosely forming, or
so for this
the sales agents?
Yeah, so for this project, there's probably just going to be one sales agent. It's a pilot project. The sales agent, there's a company called Sceletium.com who are a large seller of Sceletium. There's had to be some potential conflicts of interest managed because they're also a big buyer of Sceletium. So we need to make sure that the sales agent isn't just selling it to themselves. But that's pretty easy. You can just take the average of what they've sold it at elsewhere, and then that's the price that they have to pay. So they pay the weighted average price of everybody else's purchases. And they would get a 10% revenue share in exchange for selling 10 to 15%. Again, that's also in the midst of negotiation. But essentially what the sales agent will do is they'll gather all the buyers and they'll go, okay, these are the people who don't want to take deliveries. So if you held a couple of these Sceletium tokens and you didn't want to receive your Sceletium, you could say, oh, please sell it on my behalf. And then the current going rate is around $50 a kg. So if you had to, you would expect to get around $1,000. But then the sales agent would take $100 off. So they would then get the $1,000 for you. They would convert that into crypto, probably USDC, and then they would transfer it into your wallet after they've sold on your behalf. And it might take a month or so for the sale to happen. We're hoping that all the sales will get wrapped up in a month.
Are you building in that other people can also propose to become sales agents?
Yeah,
and ask to become?
Yeah, I think that makes sense to have more than one sales agent, so that then you could pick your sales agent. And so then that could be in the delivery options, like, oh, choose the sales agent. You can choose an audited sales agent. You can choose an unaudited sales agent. So, somebody could come to be, I'm a much better sales agent, but I'm not willing to be audited. And if you trust them, you just you set your delivery to them, and it's got nothing to do with the platform. But the audited sales agent would fall into the role of the auditor, and they would check out the sales agent, and the sales agent would also have a set commission. And then, eventually, you could maybe have like a little drop-down list and you could pick your sales agent.
Maybe like local Bitcoin.
Yeah, where you can go, oh, I want this sales agent. And the sales agents could then bid against each other. So, one could say, oh, I'll sell it for a bit less for you. Yeah. But at the moment, we're looking at there just being one. That's about the sales agents. A few verified sales agents across the world. And that's the thing, we're trying to work with if the auditor works well, if the guardian works well, obviously, project 3, project 4, same auditor, same guardian, same producer even. The risk on this project's way lower because these people have already done 3 or 4 successful projects. So stakeholders will start to develop a track record on the platform, and you'll be able to see who's doing well, who hasn't done well. So those guys will get their projects launched much quicker, I'd imagine. And then always be new people coming in. But maybe there's a new producer, but it's the same guardian and it's the same auditor. So you're like, okay, those guys have done well. I'm going to back this new producer. So, everybody gets to determine their risk level, which projects they want to go into, how much they want. And of course, the TOAs will be completely dependent on market forces. So, they might sell for $1,200 at the initial sale, but a week later, they could be selling for $2,000, or, you could not get an update from the producer for 4 months and the price will drop, and that'll be completely open to market forces, just like all other crypto. Okay. Okay, well, that's really the TOA project. I don't know, does anybody have any more questions about Sceletium? We spoke about it a bit. Okay.
I have a question about the NFTs. If you were saying you have to sell all of them first, what happens in the meantime, like while you're waiting for all of them to be sold?
So the crowd sale will last for a month. We don't have to sell all of them, but there is a minimum. So we've got to sell a certain minimum for the producer to get their
the next step,
their $250,000. So if we sell enough that the producer gets $100,000, the project fails, because to get the farm going and to get the shade cloth and the tractors, the producer needs $250,000. So if $100,000 is sold, then the project will fail, and people can claim their money back. So the money actually doesn't get taken anywhere until the minimum amount is raised in the crowd sale. And then once the amount is raised, then the tokens get distributed. And, you can come and claim your token once it's been successful.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think
I wanted to ask how the Sceletium was harvested and stuff. Like if they're able to, like I can't imagine them picking little leaves off, so they probably have to take everything out. But what part of the Sceletium plant gets harvested for use?
In this project, in some projects, they do harvest some of the plant and they leave the plant going. In this project, they're harvesting the whole plant. So the whole plant gets harvested, leaf and root, and then they re-sow for the next year. And the root actually has got a high alkaloid content. So the root also contributes as part of the biomass. It's an interesting thing, like there's a slightly different alkaloids between the leaf and the root. The leaf is more the kind of high focused attention, and the root is much more like chill out, relax. It's more mesembryanone in the root and more mesembryan in the leaf. So we have spoken about some people might want leaf and root separate. So you might end up with like 7 kgs of leaf, 3 kgs of root. Most people don't.
Yeah.
They just want to mix it all together. But that's something which we've asked about, and the producer's looking into it. Could they then, instead of just putting everything, drying it all and putting it through the trimmer, separating it out? Obviously, it's more work for the producer. So we need to figure out, what that would mean if people wanted that.
Okay.
Is there going to be any handling of the Sceletium, or is it just going to be given raw materials? Because I know I've heard about the fermentation, all that the process is there. So
it won't be fermented. That's because when you ferment it, it becomes much more mesembryanone heavy than mesembryan, and the market mostly at the moment wants the mesembryan. I think we live in
which is the high stuff,
the more alert high stuff.
Yeah.
We're more in coffee universe than opium universe. Just to talk about the big themes, you know. It was interesting, before coffee came to Europe, mostly people were beer and opium, you know, and then coffee came and the frequency started to shift. And mostly the last few hundred years, we've been on like planet coffee, we've been rushing. And Sceletium actually has both. It's like in one state, it's more kind of like, I mean, it's not like opium, but it's more kind of like opioid-like. And in another state, it's more a stimulant. So it's both a stimulant and a relaxant. Yeah. But the demand in the market at the moment is more for the mesembrine. So it won't be fermented. What will happen is it'll be harvested, dried, and then you can either have it whole plant. It keeps a bit better as a whole plant. So if I was going to use it, if I wanted 10 kgs for myself, for me and my friends to use over the year, I would just get the whole plant and then I'd store it somewhere cool and dry. But if I wanted it to be to use in a product which is used for extracts, then I would maybe want it milled or like a tea cut that you can use as a tea. So that'll possibly be something you're able to specify on your TOA. We haven't finalized that, but you could go, oh, let me get a tea cut, let me get it milled, let me get whole plant. And then the producer will know, okay, here are all the, this is all the tea cut, here it's all milled. And then as the couriers start arriving, giving whatever to each courier.
And that means I've got to rebuild it.
Okay, we won't have that feature.
I'm just thinking about the
version 2.
The Sceletium plant. It makes, the Sceletium plant grows in harsh environments. It's a semi-desert plant, little karoo, thorns, scorpions, snakes, not thorny everything. It's not a thorny plant, but it makes sense that the leaves are going, I'm excited, I'm alive, woohoo, I'm alive. And then the roots are going, okay, relax. It's very harsh. Let's just chill. Yeah.
It's, that it also grows, it's a companion plant. It always grows under other plants. You never really find Sceletium just growing out in the open. It's under an overhanging of a rock. It's under another bush. So this thing of Sceletium where it wants to kind of connect and be together and open up, it's reflected in how it grows. It always grows with another plant in the wild, and it uses them to shade it a bit.
Flowers. I've seen it growing amongst flowers.
Yeah. In this case, I mean, this project, it's not like a permaculture project. It is under shade cloth. So
for mass production, they have to do that.
Okay, this is my last question about Sceletium, because I'm just curious about how it works. So like the alkaloids is just getting it right. The alkaloids is what gives you the effects, right? Okay, so how 10 kgs is a lot. And how is like it being dried going to be affecting the alkaloid contents? Like, is there like because I can imagine it being like a graph where it kind of like spikes for a bit, but then after a long period, it might like die out a bit more. So how is that going to work if it's like someone says 10 kgs?
Yeah. So actually you're going to start off with 100 kgs. It loses about 90% of its weight
okay,
when it dries. So, so this place is producing like a huge amount of biomass, and then it dries down much smaller. Drying it doesn't seem to affect the alkaloids too much, as long as the heat doesn't go above kind of 50 degrees. Once you dry it above 50 degrees, then again, it starts to become more like the mesembrine than the mesembrine. So as soon as you heat it up, it becomes more mesembrine-like. Other than that, the processing doesn't affect it. I mean, what they do is before they harvest, they turn the water off. And so it stresses the plant and its alkaloid levels shoot up when it's under water stress. So this is something that they do pre-harvest to push up the alkaloid levels.
Cool. Thanks, Maestro.
Yeah, welcome. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so moving on to some other information. I think we did demo the bridge, the ELYS to Bitcoin bridge, in a previous gathering a while back.
We've got a video of it. If you want to check it out, you can have a look.
Yeah,
at
you can have a look
channel,
there.
our YouTube channel.
We've just had people asking, like, how do we get in? How do we get ELYS, and how do we get ELYS easily? And if you don't want to, if you're not familiar with getting Phantom and how to get Phantom and all of that, then the easiest way is just to bridge Bitcoin in. You do need a little bit of Phantom to pay for the gas fees on the bridge. But if you ask us in the Telegram group, we'll give you a little bit of Phantom for gas, so you can bridge in from Bitcoin, and then you don't have to go to a DEX and buy and everything. You can just get your ELYS that way.
And the easiest way to get Bitcoin is with local Bitcoin, because you just port your local currency, you speak to a real person through the computer and who understands your language and speaks normal human. And then
send their bank transfer.
Yeah, they change your money into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And
I like local Bitcoin because it's decentralized. So you're not using but I don't use it. I use a local exchange where I can buy Bitcoin. I use an exchange called Luno and Valor, which are here in South Africa. Sometimes the rates are slightly better on exchanges than on local Bitcoin. But local Bitcoin's really cool.
If you like talking to real people,
yeah,
local Bitcoin rocks.
Yeah. And it's decentralized, so it's great. It supports the ethos of crypto. I said we'd talk a bit about the marketplace. So just to speak about it, I mean, our marketplace is kind of 90% built. Well, not the marketplace itself, but the ability for vendors to create listings in ELYS. We've had about 7 or 8 vendors who want to sell in ELYS lined up for almost a year, for about 10 months. And I think one of them's got their wallet set up. I mean, these are plant people, not crypto people. And so, despite all the help that we've given them and everything else, they're kind of like, yeah, but not so many of my buyers want to buy or have ELYS. And then with the real volatility, with the market crash, they've gotten really cold feet. So they've been like, oh, but the price is so volatile. So, like, why would I want to list product for sale in such a volatile currency? So I think where we are in the marketplace, even though we've put a lot of work into it, or at least the vendor directory, even though we've put a lot of work into it, we've got the WooCommerce plugins and the buy now buttons and this beautiful decentralized directory of vendors. I think we're going to wait either until ELYS is quite stable, or until we launch a stable coin down the line. And the idea of a stable coin is that it could be backed by these asset-backed instruments. So we would have a stable coin backed by assets, basically plants in the ground. But that's something for the future. But then it would really make sense to have a thriving vendor marketplace where the currency doesn't fluctuate so much. I mean, we could build one which uses USDC or some other stable coin.
But it's quite nice to back it with plants in the ground, because then we can create nature reserves and
exactly.
Yeah.
And probably wouldn't be pegged to $1 either. Like have a stable coin, because that's just emphasizing the unfair fiat system, which we're trying to move out of.
Crystals that are still in the ground.
How to get an accurate price on that. My friend was saying you should peg it to a potato, because everybody knows what a potato is, and he knows what a potato is worth, and you should have 1 coin equals 1 potato. Okay, how big is the potato?
There's a town near Ketberg, and they do a snook in Patat festival every year, and they do sweet potatoes and snook, and they just have a festival there, like in spring every year. They harvest potatoes and they go and catch some snook, and then they all feast.
Right.
So that's quite an interesting one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, we'll cross that. What does it say? We'll burn that bridge when we come to it. So the ELYS token was on the talking points agenda. So currently sitting at about just under a third of what we launched it at. So it's at around 0.3 US cents at the moment, the value per ELYS. It was launched at 1 cent. So we're about 70 or 80% down from our launch. From its all-time high, which was 4 cents, we're about 95% down from its all-time high. So not doing as bad as some other crypto, which has vanished entirely. But yeah, not doing fabulously either. But if you didn't sell your ELYS, if you held it, you're fine. Because we've got some cool stuff coming out, as you've heard. Yeah, I mean, what to say? Crypto is exciting and brutal, and very, very volatile. And
it's like a toddler, a 2-year-old, throws tantrums all the time.
Yeah, and you know, this was a huge learning curve, and I think, you know, being in the thick of it with a cryptocurrency project, we went through some tremendous learnings. I learned that one should keep a smaller portion of treasury, a large portion of treasury in stable coins. That was a good lesson. No matter how undervalued the coins seem, because even if they seem undervalued, it can always go lower in crypto. Thank you, Terra Luna. Thank you, Solidly and Andre Cronier. Thank you for the wonderful lessons that you've taught us about diversification and risk management. We will forever be grateful. Yeah, and it's also been really, really amazing being part of a team when you go through those kind of things, and witnessing the team's up and downs and the emotions that everybody goes through as working, you know, on a project, working in the foundation. I think we could write a book about everything that went down and all the different meetings that were had, and all the feelings that were felt, and all the conversations that were had. I do feel like, personally, just speaking for myself, I feel like I learned so much about how I am in high stress situations, and I noticed like a lot of old patterns around being in companies and launching companies and
Gambling.
I didn't think I was an addict at all. I didn't think I had addiction, but yeah. Hey, listen, the Elyseos Foundation funds did way better than my personal wallet, where I was leveraged quite soundly, which yeah, my savings got wiped out, guys.
I wonder if Iboga works for
gambling
gambling too.
Definitely.
It's supposed to. He needs to eat more of it.
Well, actually, what happened is I lost all my money, and then I no longer had any pay from Elyseos, so I had to very quickly start an Iboga microdosing program, which is how I used to make my living. And I thought, no, I better go along with the people. I better eat the Iboga. And so I went into like a really strong microdosing course for like 2 months, and it did help a lot. I actually lost my phone. I lost all my coins that I was following. I lost them. I couldn't check the price for like a month because my phone was missing. And so I didn't know what anything was worth. I didn't know what ELYS was worth. I didn't know what Phantom was worth. I didn't have a phone. It felt really good.
Put him in rehab.
Yeah, I got put on. That was. I'm sure that was Iboga, because it was one morning. It was we'd started the microdosing course, and I couldn't find the phone in my house, and then it was on silent, so I couldn't phone it. And then I searched the house like for 2 weeks, and it never turned up. And so I don't know. Maybe it's gonna turn up under the lemon tree or something. So who knows? But anyway, yeah. So that's the story about the ELYS token. I don't know if there are any questions.
I mean, I know crypto is like extremely volatile, but is there like, how's the market looking these days? Is it looking promising for like the ELYS coin and like becoming a bit more, you know, self-supported again?
I mean, nobody's been selling lately. I think the price is too low to sell.
It's a great time to buy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, my opinion of the market as a whole is there's still some hope left, which seems to me to indicate that the bottom's not in fully. But I feel like what's different about Elyseos is that we've got a real world use case. So we're not just relying on crypto projects, Ponzi schemes, degen traders to push up the price. We've got we're going to earn fees, you know, like, so, you know, it was really interesting because at the height of the madness, when Luno was like shooting sky high and all sorts of projects were shooting sky high, nobody would listen to me. I would try and get on talk shows and speak to people, and they would be like, oh, it's a terrible return, you know, a utility coin. Oh no, we're not interested. You know, where's your algorithms? Where's your this? And all these complicated algorithmic stable coins and everything were out. And utility coins were really out of fashion. But now a coin which actually collects fees, you know, for this launch, Elyseos will collect 5% of the money raised. So we'll actually earn fees. And then as more projects get launched, we'll earn more fees, which will go into the foundation. And so that's kind of old fashioned, but actually it's back in fashion. Because you know, people want crypto projects with real world use cases.
Yeah, I think, you know, what's going down is a real purification of a very good idea, which is a decentralized form of currency and governance and trade and just thinking, innovation, decentralizing,
permissionless innovation, where you don't have to ask.
And it was like a playground for pre-primary school children, and having lots of fun with money and really exploring abundance and unlimited abundance, and letting go,
learning about liquidity, learning about
rewriting their ideas, or our ideas about who controls money, and that abundance and finance can be controlled and is controlled, and all of that kind of stuff. So it was like a lot of playing about that. But also
that an individual
can
do what only a merchant bank could do.
Yeah, but also a lot of, you know, all the good old stuff that humanity is not yet fully purged, to the greed and you know, all of that stuff. And what's going on now is there's a rarefication. Yeah, and really bringing it down to, okay, this is a very good, interesting new way of thinking going on. How can we apply it in society in a way that's grounded and sustainable? So that's what exciting to me. I don't think that the idea is going to just disappear. And I don't, you know, I think that it's actually wonderful that the kind of high-flying idealism that was going on before has sat down, and now we can grow from the ground up with some really great ideas and technologies that have been tested in very high-flying, gung-ho, you know, cowboy type of style, but the technology's been tested. So we know that it works. Yeah, which is cool. Have you got anything?
So it's almost basically, sorry, you can continue if it's.
I also wanted to ask Haku if he's got anything to comment on what we're talking about here now, with the question about what's going on in crypto in general
in the market.
in the marketplace. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been through this a number of times now, and I mean, my work is crypto at the moment, and it has been since for a long time now. And what's interesting is that in a bull run, when everything's going well, then everybody's an expert, and I find even personally, I start feeling a bit like imposter syndrome, like, well, everyone knows everything. What job do I have? And it's really interesting to observe. And there, like, everything just works. Like, you know, any scam can become this massive project, and it all looks great. And people tend to not really investigate things properly. And the cool thing about crypto is actually there's this statement that we make: don't trust, verify. You know, and the beauty of crypto is that you can check things out for yourself. You know, but people just don't do that, especially in a bull market where things are going well. What usually happens is then there's always a bear market, then there's a crash, and then everyone's like, oh no, it's dead, and they all want to leave, and you get all these like all of the bad press comes out, and everyone's like, yeah, I told you so, I knew this was just a bubble, etc. What's interesting is during that time is where things get built. You know, because it's like a fire that happens, a wildfire that just burns everything that doesn't have foundations, and only the stuff that has foundations is actually left standing. And sometimes it's standing like us. You know, we've got some really good foundations, but we like just there, and it's because we're really committed to this project, and it's a solid project, and it's not a scam. It's not something that we're just trying to make money off people. There's some real depth and roots to it, which is why we're still around. And we're building some really cool stuff. You know, it's like when everything, it goes quiet, and suddenly all the noise from all the DeFi and all the protocols and all the Discord groups and everything just goes quiet, and there's time to just focus and build, which is beautiful, which is exactly what we're doing. So we're doing all the right things. One thing I've noticed though is that every time there's a crash, like my work usually just dries up. Like suddenly there's just no work. I'll be like super busy and everyone's wanting me to work for them and do projects. And then suddenly there's a crash, and then suddenly there's just silence. And I'm like, you know, oh crap, now we're going to run out of work. That hasn't happened this time. In fact, I'm busier now than I've ever been before, even though we've had a crash. You know, I mean, I had, that for me is really encouraging about the crypto space in general. You know, it means that it's maturing, even though we've still got the volatility, which we're going to have for a long time, because it's a very new paradigm, and you've got a lot of old world thinking that is still coming in. So you've got a lot of the greed and a lot of the, like, you know, and there's a lot of old finance guys that understand the space extremely well. You know, they've been doing this for a lot longer than any of the crypto Silicon Valley guys, you know, and so a lot of the stuff we think we're really clever because we've come up with this concept, and some guy that's been in like investment banking or whatever or forever looks at it as like, yeah, we can totally, like, you know, make a lot of money on this and crash the entire market. And this is exactly what happened with Terra Luna. Some really clever people saw an opportunity, they took it, they made a lot of money, and they crashed the entire Terra Luna because it was built on shaky assumptions, which a lot of people didn't see because you're so caught up in the hype of it that you don't want to see what's there. Whereas someone that's in traditional finance, they're trained to like see those things, and they took advantage of that. At least that's what we think happened. So yeah, it's always good when a shakeup like this happens. You know, it means that we're going to, if we survive through it, then we come out the other side even stronger and even more mature. You know, the thing about cryptocurrency is that it is an anti-fragile system. You know, Bitcoin is an anti-fragile system. It's meant to be an anti-fragile system. And what anti-fragile systems do is they get stronger the more stress you put under them. You know, the more
Like
you
Sceletium.
throw things. Say again. Like
Like
Sceletium,
Sceletium.
exactly. You know, or even the human body, when we go through like a virus or whatever, then our immune system kicks in, and now suddenly we're stronger, and we've learned how to combat that the next time around. And so that's what I think is going to happen. If it's not going to kill it completely, you know, if it kills it completely, then it should be dead. You know, because this is cryptocurrency is supposed to survive under extremely hostile circumstances. You know, Bitcoin was designed for that. It's always been designed for that. And so every time this happens, you know, that which survives will be stronger. And that for me is encouraging, because there's a lot that has survived, you know, and we've survived, which is a very good sign. And now we're
doing. Sorry to jump.
The Phantom Network's doing well. It depends on what you mean by that, you know. And I think this is the thing that, like I always said about Bitcoin, like every time there's a Bitcoin crash, I'm like, look, 1 Bitcoin is still equal to 1 Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is still working 100% uptime all the time. I can send transactions. It's, you know, it's the same with Phantom, I find. You know, I'm working on a couple of different blockchains on a number of different projects at the moment. I'm not going to mention the blockchain that I've been spending like all afternoon trying to fight with. It was supposed to be like one of the, you know, and compared to Phantom, it's just horrible. You know, I'm longing to work on Phantom again. You know, I mean, after the whole thing with the Phantom crash, for all the reasons, I was very like disillusioned with Phantom, which was a good thing actually, because I think all of us were in illusion, and one of the biggest sort of attack vectors that I hadn't really factored in is the cult of personality. You know, I mean, Bitcoin never had that problem because Satoshi Nakamoto just disappeared, and we don't know even who Satoshi Nakamoto was. Andre Cronje, yeah, very, very interesting, seriously talented human being, but everyone put a lot of sway into what he said, and when he pulled out, suddenly bang, everything crashed. You know, that's an attack vector. Now we don't have that anymore with Phantom. We can actually now build. It's now more decentralized than it was before, because we no longer are looking to a personality. You know, Ethereum still has that problem with Vitalik. You know, that's I mean, like someone thought that Vitalik was dead, or posted on Twitter that Vitalik had died, and suddenly the price of Ethereum crashed for a little while until Vitalik posted, "No, I'm still around." Or maybe it's just his AI, I don't know. But yeah, that's a serious problem, and I think Phantom is actually in a much healthier position than it was before. We just didn't know it. So yeah, that's my perspective.
Transactions are
yeah
really quick. I mean, it's like
yeah.
During the height of the, you know, like the craziness, I think gas got up to like 1.5 Phantom sometimes for a transaction, and then Phantom was like $3, and I was like paying $5 for a transaction. It was like, wow. Now, you know, you're paying fractions of a cent again for a transaction.
But then there was also like a consensus where the gas price actually dropped.
Yes.
Oh.
So I'm
Dramatic.
I'm very positive about Phantom. Yeah, dramatic pause. Yeah, I'm very fond of Phantom. I love working on Phantom. It just flows really beautifully. I love the
was that the feeling that I've been having as well about crypto is it's moving kind of away from like not kindergarten, but like teenagers kind of vibe. Even LJ, the very famous musician, they actually released a new song and part of the album about like an 8-year-old becoming a millionaire because they just figured out how to play with the crypto. But now it's kind of moving into its university days where it's like, okay, now it's in-depth studies and there's like a lot of creation. You have to figure out how does it work and how do you put the system together that's like you know, found in the real world. So it's pretty cool that Elyseos is also like kind of morphed with that and just follow that flow. Where, you know, all the other projects, they kind of just like ran away. They were like, okay, cool, no, we're not going to university now. You know, that's kind of the vibe.
What I like about, well, I mean, it's maybe a random crazy thing, but what I really like, one of the things I really like about the TOA thing is that we've adopted a little bit of magic into our look and feel with magical trees and crystals and stuff like that. And I know that part of the inspiration for that comes from the Phantom Network as well, the kind of playful storytelling aspect. I really like that. I like that I'm starting to see the mythology on the screen of the, you know, the magical world of Elyseos that we've been kind of dreaming about since this thing started. Yeah, it's nice. It feels like something's landing.
I also want to say something else about the TOAs. Like, to get the digital world and the physical world to talk to each other, especially in the crypto space, is extremely hard. And I've yet to see a project that does it well. I mean, maybe there are, but like it's a really hard thing to do, especially remaining decentralized. And yeah, I just want to kind of tip my hat to Maestro for this concept. It's the most well thought out project that I've seen that takes digital and real world, you know, and keeps it decentralized. You know, I was blown away by the spec that I got given, and reading through it. It really is a very exciting project to work on. You know, and I think out of all of the projects that I worked on, it's yeah, it's super impressive. So I just want to say well done, and I know that I'm part of the team and all of that, but you know, it really is yeah, a beautiful piece of work. So
yeah, it has felt guided also, you know, like in a lot of ways, like with that deep I mean, the idea came up for all of us in the early days, but we were busy with marketplaces and other things. But then, you know, during that Iboga journey after the big market crash, during the microdosing course, Sceletium just started talking. It suddenly started coming through.
Yeah. And then a whole lot of it arrived on our doorstep. And
yeah,
same like the beginning of Elyseos. It's been a very magical earth, and the earth has gone, Gaia's gone like, here we go, let me give you a clue. Here's 50 kilograms of Sceletium. You know.
Yeah, it was really, really interesting how
How
that all happened. And you know, I wasn't particularly looking to do something on this project, but got approached by a group of guys who were like, yeah, we can grow Sceletium, we just need some funding. I was like, we have an idea for how to raise the funding. Let's talk to people and put it together. And it's been very grounded. We've had so much support on
wow, it's been amazing, actually. The kind of, I'm going to say, wise elder beings who've presented themselves, who've just showed up and emerged and arrived. And
yeah, from the Guardian turning up to the Rainmaker turning up to the sales agent, everybody's popped up at the right time.
Lawyer.
Nothing's been pushed or searched for. It's all like kind of just happens step by step. So yeah, it's really I mean, the project isn't launched yet, but it's like all the pieces are in place for it to come together.
Just busy bug hunting at the moment.
Well, it's actually been really interesting. There's been less bugs in the software than in the offline.
The software, I think,
has been amazing.
Really good.
It's been so solid.
All of the tech side is fantastic. It's the bug hunting is in the interface between
the people's engagements and this much and that much, and
the landing of it inside with human reality and plant reality, and and
it's been really interesting to see them go through their journey around the project launch, and then somebody, you know, like feeling nervous or trying to take too much out of the project, and so much of the learnings from Elyseos just kind of just feeling so oh yeah, we've been through ups and downs way worse. You guys, you know,
Yeah.
this is really easy to handle conflict resolution here.
It's kind of really calling for deep authenticity.
Yeah.
For real, honest authenticity from everyone who's working in it and playing a role in presenting, in showing up, and in making a commitment to something. It's like, it's really fantastic.
And that also kind of ties in with you know, us kind of coming out, just being public here, and you know, just being okay with that. And that's the same with every project. You know, they'll need to be known so you can know who it is you're dealing with, and you know, and see the audit trail and all of those pieces. You know, have those pieces in place. Yeah. Oh, the Epoch Vote is the last thing maybe to just share on. Our first anniversary, so we have an Epoch Vote every 3 months after the first 6 months of the Epoch. And the next one will be on the 22nd of August. I'm going to propose that everybody votes no again. I don't think we're quite ready yet, but I think we're really closer to ready. So I could imagine the Epoch ending 3 months before its absolute final deadline, which will be in the 22nd of March next year. The Epoch must end because they can only run 18 months. I think we'll definitely be ready by then. We might be ready one before then, which would be what, 22nd of November. August, September, October, yeah, November. But anyway, so I'm going to recommend that people vote no. But
why?
Because we will have just we won't even have launched the TOAs. It's just starting on the 22nd of August. So if we then now have a whole issuance of more tokens, more ELYS tokens, I mean, it could work. I mean, we'll make it work if it works, if we have that new issuance of tokens. But I think, you know, for me, Epoch 1 is I mean, that's not the foundation's recommendation, by the way. That's just my personal recommendation. The foundation might decide differently. That's just me, right? Me and my, you know, 500,000 ELYS will vote no. But, you know, like maybe the foundation has a different idea and other people have different
I've got a question.
Yeah.
What's happening in and this is for you and for Haku, I guess. What's happening in the wonderful world of NFTs these days? With the crash and everything.
Do you want me to answer your first question around the Epoch first, though? Before
yeah,
we
okay,
change
sorry.
subject?
I thought you had.
No, I haven't fully answered it. Yeah, I feel like Epoch 1, it would be nice if it could start with, you know, like some successful things under our belts, with more money in the treasury, with you know, an idea of, yeah, maybe where the stable coin's going or something like that. That would feel really grounded. And then it feels like, okay, we're ready to turn.
How do we get more money in the treasury? Is that the liquidity pool?
Yeah. So we still have of the nine Ocean Caller NFTs, we still got 7 available for sale.
Have these guys ever been shown them? We haven't ever shown them to anyone.
Haven't we?
Can you call them up?
Yeah, I can.
So this is a set of NFTs that we commissioned from 3 different artists, one whale, one shark, and one dolphin from each artist. And they came up with some really interesting mythologies, not all of which we've recorded because they received these images, if you like, through the musing of various forms of medicine. And we did them because we said if we've got whales, sharks, and dolphins, then we must have an ocean of liquidity. So therefore, we want to create whales and sharks and dolphins and NFTs and sell them. Yeah.
This was the prototype tokenized offtake, except it didn't really give you an offtake. It gave you some ELYS attached to the NFTs. So this one on the far left is sold. And that's Tohora, the Song of the Cosmos, and that is allocated. The other two are not allocated yet. They are available. And then the sharks, all the sharks are currently available. And each one comes with an amount of ELYS attached to it.
And you probably could also contact the artists through us and purchase the original if you wanted to as well.
So it gives you a chunk of ELYS, which is locked up for a certain period of time. And then it also, you know, this is the Council of Elders. So more rights and privileges will be accorded to the holders of these NFTs as we go. And then, so the sharks are all available. And the dolphins, the center one is sold. And the one on the right and the left are available. And then those are their prices. So yeah, from $6,000 to $27,000. And there's an allocation of ELYS. You couldn't, I mean, you might look at the price of ELYS and say, oh, you know, I could, you know, I would get more ELYS on the open market than buying it through the NFT, but you wouldn't, because if you try to buy that much ELYS, you'd push the price up above these values. Because
we don't have enough ocean of liquidity yet, which is why we made those NFTs.
Yeah, so even a small buy at the moment will push the price up quite significantly of ELYS. So it's based on a relatively small liquidity pool, but we're working on getting that bigger also. So yeah, if anybody's interested in becoming one of the ocean callers and participating in that way, again, just get in touch with us through our Telegram, and yeah, we'd be happy to onboard you. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Should I answer the NFT land one?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, NFTs are still going strong in terms of people buying them. But I think what's interesting is people are starting to see NFTs around more than just art. And I mean, like the TOAs is a great example of the utility of NFTs. And I think that's something that actually we've innovated quite nicely around, you know, with the locked token being an NFT, and you know, and so yeah, I personally would like to see more utility-based NFTs. And there's a lot of ideas I've got around that as well. And then also NFTs in games, you know, where like you buy something and then it gets unlocked and gives you tokens, or you know, that's starting to happen as well. And I think there's a lot of possibility around that too. So yeah, I think NFTs are super powerful. I think we just got stuck on the first use case, which was art, as we do, you know, and people can't think outside of it. And you think an NFT is just a picture, but no, it's ownership of something that can be transferred, you know, and have, you know, superpowers in terms of it's a smart contract, so we can build stuff into it.
The use case,
so that's where
1.0 was Ponzi schemes, and NFTs 1.0 was monkey pictures. But we're growing up. We're figuring out more and more other things to do.
Yeah.
What's also interesting about NFTs, there's a guy, Andrew Price, he does Blender tutorials, so that's the 3D software. And he said what's interesting about NFTs is that it's taken, like, art's kind of moved away from being art when the digital age came about, because art was just shared everywhere and it wasn't like the same value that it used to be. But how art used to be sold is that, like, even still today, like very expensive art's being kept in museums and like cooling rooms and special storages to preserve it. And then people who are interested in buying that, they only buy like a certificate, so they don't get to hold the art. They don't get to keep it in their house. So that was the old way of doing it, you know, back in the 1800s. And now with crypto, we've kind of moved exactly back to that. What are crypto with NFTs, where there's just a piece of information telling you that this is your like right to sell and resell and use in whatever way you'd like. But obviously it's a bit more complicated with NFTs, because it's, you know, you can even like Gavin was saying, or Heiko was saying, you can even use game assets, so like 3D models of stuff, that, you know, if you want to buy a tree in a game, that's possible. And you can have the ownership, so you can have like a little plaque saying this is your tree in this virtual reality world.
Oh, it's good to hear that they're still happening, because I still really want us to have a art gallery. We've still got
I'm actually working.
all of that beautiful
I'm
art from the competition as well. It'll be really lovely to get into the gallery as well.
I'm working on a project at the moment where I've actually volunteered to, because they were using OpenSea, and I've built NFTs for OpenSea for them. But OpenSea, I found this really, really hard to navigate. It's not the best, you know, as far as I'm concerned. And so there's some work I need to do for them, and I've volunteered to just add a little bit of extra work, which basically gives them an NFT marketplace. I'm taking a lot of the stuff that I did, but now I can almost be paid now to do it, but the code is now also done. And I mean, that's actually what I've been working on today even. And hopefully by mid tomorrow, they'll have an NFT marketplace. So it's not the full thing of what I want it to be, but a lot of the problems that I needed to solve have been solved now. So yeah, we'll get there. We'll definitely get to.
I'm getting like visions of walking down a corridor, and there's artworks on the walls, on both sides of the walls, and then
that doesn't work like that. It's just a web page. But
yeah. Because then there's a door, and inside that there was a classroom, and that also requires NFTs.
How to embed an
education.
NFT gallery into a 3D game.
Yeah.
Actually,
what I think is that we need to drink lots of cacao, and then we can narrate the story, and you just close your eyes and you can go through it, and then you decide which NFT you want, and then you just type it in.
Well, I shared a link there. One of the companies I'm partnered with at the moment, they sent me this. So this is a art gallery, or not an art gallery, but like a navigation portal that they designed for APSA. And it's basically a 3D web layout. So there's different doors and different art pieces, and they have it's a 3D world that you can actually go and look at, you know, whatever they have hosting. So I've got videos. Yeah, APSA the bank. Go check it out. It's really cool. He showed it to me today. It's the company's martial arts.
People watch.
No, no. This is live. Like you can go look at it live.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's on APSA. Like it's a finished product. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, APSA are going big into the metaverse, but yeah, I don't trust them.
Yes.
I was asked to be involved in that, and I said no.
Here it is.
So just one thing, the NFTs that have been created are you can have 3D NFTs, which is quite cool. Oh wow, yeah, that does look impressive.
Yeah, so each of the doors you can go click on, and they can go into different rooms, and they actually have like there's an art piece in, I think maybe in the APSA gallery or something, but there's an art piece that's in one of the APSA buildings, and you can actually look at it in this space. So yeah, it's pretty cool, like a statue. I think it's the APSA gallery. I'm not sure where it is.
I like that. I think that's inspiring.
Okay, so here's
that's
the sections of the gallery, and there's the art piece. Okay. I mean, I can't actually drag. It's actually just a flat web page.
But it's done 3D vibes.
Yeah.
which is really,
Yeah,
I quite
interactive.
like
Yeah.
that. That's very nice.
Mm.
Mm.
Well, you wanted an NFT gallery by Valentine's Day, so maybe we can do something.
We're just a year ahead of ourselves. Hey,
You didn't specify
only
which
one
date.
year ahead of ourselves. It's improved. I was like 10 years ahead of myself, and now it's improved a lot. Mm.
Right. I think that's it. If there's any more comments.
No. Anybody? Buena, have you got any questions for any of us guys here that are relevant? Yeah.
Otherwise, I get 100 questions or 0 questions. So I'm not that into it, so I can't grasp the whole thing. But I've been watching from distance, and I'm interested, and I think it's a lovely project, and I like the frequency of it and the intention of it. And, but I'm lost in the technology sector.
Yeah.
So it's going to be too long to explain for me every single step of the way to be clear of the technology. But I'm just digesting the feelings and the frequency of it, and I like it. And maybe Sai was going to guide me through it another time, another space. And tonight I'm just setting for the ceremony, the new moon ceremony. I'm going up to the mountains right now. And
Lovely.
so thank you for being here tonight. And I'm like interested.
Yeah. I think, am I right in saying, Sunfire, I think you're busy putting together like a simple guide for the ecosystem?
Yeah. Like as the meeting started, I just published everything. So it'll be like a book with each of the steps that we discussed now. You can go and read through everything. And I've put some images and stuff in there as well. So I'll share that in the group, and then you can read through the sections that you maybe have questions on.
Awesome. Have you also got in that guidebook very simple how to buy a ELYS, like the bridge, and simple, like
yeah, it's the main stuff is there. But Maestro and I just discussed fleshing it out a bit more. So
awesome.
it's got more human language in there, a couple more steps.
Yay,
And then I'll put the YouTube links in there and stuff as well. The relevant YouTube videos on.
Awesome. Maybe Buena, you can give feedback on that as well, because you know even less than I do, I think, which is saying something. So you can check that it's good for total newbies. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thank you for being here, everybody. Good to see the faces again. The DAO continues. We can write another chapter in that stained jungle notebook. I like that idea. I'm actually going to, if I ever do an art project, I might produce that. Day 34, low on supplies.
I can see it.
I'm thinking for our Git book, we must do like a journal there of like what our updates are per month. Start like a little Git book journal.
And illustrate
18
3D
minutes.
illustration with turning pages with jungle sounds.
I'd rather spend that time on developing new products. Nice.
I was getting excited for like a recording that you can even play while it's like reading. It's like log. This has just happened, like a very rusty 1960s recording while you're reading through it.
It's going to keep holding those visions of playfulness and creativity and art, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
We
will. All right. Yes, a few words to close.
A few words to close.
Hey, hallelujah.
Yeah, thank you that we are still here.
Yes,
And thank you that we are all still in love with each other.
yes,
And thank you that we are all being supported through the wibbledy wobbledy times that we are living
yeah.
with by grace and good senses of humor and
Mhm.
yeah, friendship and love.
Yeah.
Thank
Hey, hey, all of what you said. Yeah.
you.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
See
you,
you next
everybody.
time.
Yeah. Good night.
Namaste.
Bye bye, the Tao.